In the vast steppes of the 13th century, the Mongol Empire under Genghis Khan stretched across continents, its conquests leaving a trail of destruction and despair. Among the untold victims were women from conquered tribes, stolen as brides and thrust into a life of captivity and forced reproduction. This era, marked by the empire's rapid expansion from 1206 to 1227, saw millions subjugated, with women taken during brutal military campaigns to serve as wives for Mongol warriors. Their stories, buried beneath the glory of conquest, reveal a world of violence, loss, and resilience, a narrative that whispers of the past seeks to bring into the light from the shadows of history. The Mongol conquests were relentless, with armies sweeping through Central Asia, China, and Eastern Europe, leaving devastation in their wake. Women from tribes like the Merkits, Naimans, and Carats were prime targets, captured during raids that razed villages to the ground. Historical accounts from the secret history of the Mongols, compiled around 1240, describe how warriors seized women as spoils of war, their families slaughtered or enslaved. The violence was staggering. Entire populations were decimated, with women witnessing the deaths of husbands and children before being dragged into captivity. This initial trauma set the stage for a life of subjugation, where their bodies became tools for the empire's growth. Once captured, these stolen brides were forced into marriages with Mongol warriors, a practice designed to expand the empire's lineage and secure alliances. Genghis Khan himself set the precedent, taking multiple wives, including Börte, who endured abduction by the Merkits in 1280 before being rescued. For other women, there was no rescue. Forced unions were common, with warriors claiming brides to produce heirs and strengthen tribal ties. Chronicles from Persian historian Rashid al-Din note that women were often married within days of capture, their consent irrelevant, subjected to repeated pregnancies to ensure a steady supply of warriors. The physical toll was immense, with many dying in childbirth due to malnutrition and lack of care. The violence of their captivity extended beyond abduction, with sexual assault and physical abuse as constant threats. Mongol encampments, described in travelers' accounts like those of William of Rubruck in 1253, were harsh environments where women had no status or protection. Those who resisted faced brutal punishment, whippings, or death, while compliance offered little relief. Oral traditions from conquered tribes, preserved by descendants, speak of women enduring assault by multiple warriors, their cries lost in the vastness of the steppes. This systemic exploitation was not just physical, but psychological, stripping them of identity as they were renamed and integrated into Mongol households against their will. Despite their enslavement, Mongol women demonstrated remarkable resilience, clinging to tribal traditions as a lifeline. Many secretly taught their children the languages and customs of their original clans, preserving stories of their homelands amidst the Mongol dominance. Archaeological evidence, such as textiles and jewelry found in burial sites from the 13th century, suggests women maintained craft traditions, weaving patterns that hinted at their past lives. This cultural resistance was subtle, but powerful, a way to reclaim agency in a world where their bodies were controlled, offering hope to future generations despite the violence they endured. Börte, Genghis Khan's first wife, stands as a complex figure in this narrative, her story blending endurance with influence. Abducted by the Merkits in 1180, she was rescued after months of captivity, pregnant with a child whose paternity remains debated. The secret history portrays her as a stabilizing force, advising Genghis and raising his sons. Yet her own experience of abduction mirrors that of countless other women. Her rise to prominence highlights the rare exceptions, while the majority faced a life of servitude, their children claimed by the empire. Börte's legacy is a testament to survival, though it casts a shadow over the broader suffering of stolen brides. The empire's reliance on forced reproduction had a profound demographic impact, with Mongol rulers encouraging large families to sustain their armies. Estimates from modern historians suggest that by 1250, millions of people across the empire were descendants of these unions, a legacy built on the backs of enslaved women. The process was grueling. Women were often pregnant multiple times within a decade, with high mortality rates due to inadequate nutrition and medical knowledge. Accounts from Chinese chroniclers, like those in the Yuan Shi, describe women collapsing in labor camps, their lives reduced to a cycle of birth and exhaustion. A stark contrast to the empire's celebrated conquests. Cultural survival became an act of defiance for these women, who passed down songs and rituals despite Mongol efforts to assimilate them. In the steppes, where literacy was rare, oral traditions were their weapon, encoding memories of lost homes in lullabies and chants. The shamanistic practices of some tribes, led by women, offered spiritual resistance, with rituals performed in secret to invoke protection against their captors. This preservation of identity, though fragile, ensured that the voices of conquered peoples were not entirely silenced, even as their bodies were claimed by the empire. The legacy of these stolen brides reverberates through history, shaping the genetic and cultural tapestry of Central Asia. DNA studies from the 21st century indicate that up to 0.5% of the world's male population carries a Y chromosome lineage linked to Genghis Khan, a direct result of the reproductive policies enforced on these women. Their suffering contributed to the Mongol Empire's dominance, yet it also planted seeds of resistance that later fueled uprisings against Mongol rule. The fall of the empire in the 14th century allowed some descendants to reclaim their ancestral identities, a slow reclamation born from the resilience of their foremothers. Reflecting on this harrowing history today, we confront the cost of empire building through the eyes of its most vulnerable victims. The stolen brides of the Mongol Empire were not just numbers in a conquest tally, but individuals whose lives were marked by violence and exploitation. Their resilience, preserved in the cultural threads they wove, challenges us to recognize the human cost of historical power. Whispers of the Past honors their memory, urging us to listen to the echoes of their suffering and strength, ensuring their stories are not lost to time.